My dad had his transit van. He's a builder. I think you got all the models in, all the stuff in.
Perfectly said. We'll all understand it.
That was a 6 a.m. till 10 p.m. Thank you, Taku.
I understand it. Like you want to feel part of the community, not see these people on a pedestal that are unreachable. Right, I think we're in a good spot.
Wicked.
Should we just get into it?
Yeah,
then?
get into it.
Bloody hell, here we are. Thank you so much for meeting up with me today.
That's all right.
And we're at the L'Oreal Academy.
Yeah.
The new fully fledged top of the range building.
Literally.
It's like MI5 to try and get
Yeah.
into. I got to the reception and I was like, I'm here to see Marlon. And they're like, who's Marlon? You know?
Yeah. I know that's what you're in. Like, they've got so many different departments now. They're
crazy.
like all under the same roof, basically. So it's like luxe. So they even got like the makeup and everything. Like it's like everything.
Amazing.
All,
Yeah. No, it was wild getting in here. But we got in here and we set up and now we've got this beautiful display of L'Oreal colours behind us. So I'm sure they're going to be happy about that.
Yeah. L'Oreal.
Yeah. Sponsored by.
Yeah.
But you've been teaching today, no? You've been...
Yeah, so I am just at the minute looking after a group of 12 individuals that have submitted videos, like done a semi-audition to get onto this group through the Fellowship of Hairdressing. And the group's called Project X, and it's looked at as like the final finishing school of hairdressing. So they get to really be mentored in cut, colour, fashion, photo shoots, hair shows, avant-garde, fashion week, like all of it.
Amazing.
And I'm sort of like their lead mentor for the year, and then I'll do it for 2 years for fellowship. So year 1, year 2. So they're having a great day with Rebecca Jacks she's from Birmingham. She travelled down today and she's doing like a really cool cut day with them. So yeah.
Very cool. So that's a lot of responsibility, no? Having 12 people that look to you for direction and, well, what do we do next?
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you decide what other artists to bring in to assist you, like building that world for them? So
I actually have 2 great individuals, Harry and Olivia, who are like support mentors. They're great. I mean, like the fellowship is like such a community of hairdressers. There's people that have been there for a really long time. There's people that are new that come into it. The board's always changing. And I just think it's one of them things like, you know, I'm lucky enough to come from a salon that really sort of kind of is like one of their causes, like mentoring and developing people. So it just kind of feels natural by this point, just because I've just, you know, I've been at Brooks for 10 years now. It's just something that you sort of, when you're surrounded by it, it's just, it nearly kind of in a way come slightly natural. And then I guess you're just whoever you're meeting, because it's about the person really at the end of the day. And it's like, how do they learn, or what are their goals, or what do they want to get out of it, and sort of finding ways to help get them to their goals and mentor them in the process. So there's many people. So I've got Olivia and Harry, and then I've got people coming along the journey like Rebecca Jacks, and they had a day with Joanna Cree Brown, and they've got a date with like Jordana Cabela, and they've got like loads of people in the hairdressing community who've really come together to sort of help me pull off a great year for them. Fingers crossed.
Yes.
I'm like,
Well, just the names that you mentioned alone, they're like huge people in the industry, incredible artists in their own rights. And what you just touched on is the hairdressing industry is a community.
Yeah.
It's one of the few like jobs that you can have where everybody's truly friends. There's like healthy competition, you know.
Yeah,
but,
100%.
I mean, there's a reason why the British Hairdressing Awards and all these awards exist. But actually, when it comes down to educating the next round of people and giving back to the community, people like yourself, people like who you mentioned before, it just goes to show how amazing the community is. Yeah,
it's one of them things actually, like when I was like younger being a hairdresser, or like younger in my career with it, is in like, sometimes I'd be a bit nervous, and like you would go to like events and you just wouldn't say anything, or you would, you know, you would do all this stuff, and it's like, actually like once you kind of get over, I mean, people are all different. Some people be natural at it. I kind of was like, when you know me, I'll chat away and have the best time with you. Let's go out for a drink. Let's do this. Let's get creative. I've had an idea for a shoot, or let's do this for a show or whatever. But then like off the first bout of meeting me, I'm actually a bit like, I'm kind of a bit like nervous. But you know, the more I've got into it, you kind of like, when all it takes is a conversation, or like when you actually speak to somebody, you actually realise that everyone's actually in the same part. They're all passionate about the same thing. They all sort of want to get stuck in, involved, and sort of share their artistry. And I think sometimes it can nearly slightly look a little bit like overwhelming, but actually it's like you said, like a family, and they have like so many different things.
Well, I suppose it's really good that you recognize that in yourself. So then whenever you look after a group of people and you recognize that in someone else, you don't overlook that. No, so then that person actually will benefit from you experiencing the same feelings, right? Because you can have a class of people, and actually teaching people is incredibly difficult. And actually meeting everyone's needs is really hard. But if you have that like understanding and that emotional connection with them, and you're like, oh, they're quiet, but I can see there's something to them. You can pull them out of that. So they're lucky to have you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you. I think I was like, it's so engrossing what you say.
But you touched on that you've been working with Brooks and Brooks for 10 years, which is, we'll get to that at some point. I think most people don't really know like how you got into hair. Like how did the Marlon Hawkins that we know today, the award winner, the educator, the fellowship leader, like...
Do you know what? I'm going to be like really honest with you. It is, I kind of fell into hairdressing. So when I was younger, you know, my career was going to be music. And like I played...
Are you a singer?
No, oh my God. Yeah, Adele.
I was going to say, do a number.
No, definitely not go with that. But no, it was, you know, my mum and dad really heavily invested in me learning the piano from a very young age. And from the piano, then it was like guitar, then trumpet, then I wanted to upgrade the piano, there was organ, and I was like, I want to be cool, let's do drum kits. And you know, it was getting to the point where I was part of like an orchestra that would played in the Barbican, and it was like the Royal Academy stuff. Like it was what I was doing. And then I think just, you know, teenage Marlon suddenly was like, don't want to do that anymore. So my mum was great, happy about that. And I just kind of was like exploring loads of different things, and I actually just it was no interest of me. I've had hairdressers in my family, like my auntie's a hairdresser, but I just basically was just like, oh, it's not for me. And one day, it's all thanks to my mum. My mum basically was just like, you need to get a trade. She was like, whatever it is, I'm sick of it. And I was getting my hair cut. And I was a little bit quiet and would always chat with my hairdresser, as we do. You have that beautiful relationship with your clients. And then he was like, are you all right? And I was like, oh, just stressed out. Like, I need to get a trade. And my mum and the part of me was still rebelling. So I just wanted to prove my mum wrong and be like she said. I'm like, oh, look. Anyway, he turned around and said, he went, oh, why don't you just do a trial day here? And I went, all right, when, tomorrow? They were like, yeah. And I was like, okay, cool, see you tomorrow. So did the trial, didn't say anything to my mum, did the trial, and then got the job. And then I was like, see, I have got a trade, and didn't really know what I was getting myself into. However, you know, the salon that I originally was in, it was a franchise. It was off a market stall. It didn't have that London energy to it, and but was, you know, a great place to start really understanding hair. I had an incredible guy. Lee. He's this Korean guy, and he was so strict. And you know, you know, some people go, oh, strict, but I thrive in a strictness, because it's like I will get to my goal. I'll do this. I'll get there. And he was just like really great. And then I just, you know, naturally I wanted to gravitate moving into London. And randomly my auntie worked on a flower stall in Embankment, at Embankment train station. There's a flower stall. She works there, and a guy walked up to her and went, oh my God, I know how it feels like being on your feet all day. And she was like, oh, why, what are you? He went, I'm a hairdresser. And she went, oh, no way, my nephew's a hairdresser. Oh, funny that. I'm looking for people. I've just opened up a salon in Covent Garden.
No
he was
way.
like that.
Just conversation.
Just conversation
amazing.
like that. And she turned around and said, my auntie called me and she went, oh, I know that you were thinking of wanting to move more into central London and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah. And she went, I had a conversation. You know, at first when someone says that, I was a bit like, oh, God, who's this going to be? And she turned around and went, oh, well, anyway, his name's Andrew and like that. And so she went, oh, he's got his card and everything like that. He said, drop a thing. And I was like, Andrew, you should get it. Andrew Barton. And I was like, Andrew Barton? I was like, why do I recognise that name? And I was like, who is this? And then Googled and was like, oh yeah, I recognise his face being like a celebrity hairdresser from 10 years younger. And kind of, you know, throughout my training, I definitely had this run before I could walk. So, you know, I think I'd done my training in probably about like 9 months, I want to say.
That's insane.
Yeah, but I was not, I probably should have been training for longer. Like I just was like, running before I could walk, like literally like.
Get me on the floor.
So, but to be honest with you, I think loads of people are different learners. And I see it now with some of the apprentices, like you've got them that you just like, there is no more that I can teach you. I was that one. I was like, I can't teach you no more, Marlon. You're going to have to make all the mistakes on shop floor, shit yourself, and then learn. And that was me.
Yeah,
like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Doing like an A-line bob with the head down and then coming up and it's square and going, oh crap. Do you know what I mean? I was that. Yeah. So basically, did my trade test, but first ever trade test, I was like, oh my God, what's this? Because obviously being an apprenticeship and qualifying the food salon, then doing this trade test, I was like, yeah, you know, I don't think I cut gents' hair, got my dad to be in there and everything. Anyway, luckily managed to get the job and did that sort of run before I caught and be like, oh, so I did a good trade test, didn't I? And they went, no, but we really, really like you and we feel like we can teach you and you'll be great. And I went, oh, thanks. So yeah, definitely needed to invest a little bit more into my training then.
But that's so good because they saw that the energy and the passion was there. Like they can teach you.
Yeah, like I feel like I got the hook when I entered. I fell into it, and then when I fell into it, I was immersed in it, and I was at Andrews for for a while, and that was big learning. Like going into a London salon, and especially when Andrew had his salon, it was like, you know, like you were getting people coming in for the makeovers. It was 10 years younger. It was a different. You can't speak to clients like that. You know, like you're right, babe. It wasn't that. It was like you knew their first name. It was, you know, It was a service. It taught me service. It taught me, it so many different things.
Yeah, it's quality, it's professionalism.
Yeah, professionalism.
It's being able to step into any room with any person and being able to master it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so I spent my time there at Andrews, and just like naturally, basically, I you're kind of in this beautiful, amazing bubble at Andrews. So I knew stuff happened in the hairdressing industry, but like wasn't really connected to it because I was like really living my best life in this bubble. and then just like kind of was like, oh, I'd really, really like to start maybe developing myself. And it only happened from a conversation through one of the staff members there, and they just said, do you know what, Marlon? They were like, oh, have you ever heard of a salon called Brooks and Brooks? And I hadn't, but I kind of recognised the name, like I'd heard it before. And like, and then I was like, oh, where have I heard it for? Where have I heard it for? And was like, oh, one of my best mates works there. So
who was it?
Emma. So I've been friends with Emma for a really, really, really long time.
Did you grow up in the same town?
No. So I met Emma through a mutual friend, Ryan, and we'd been friends since we were like 17, 18.
Okay.
And then obviously we were like in our 20s now, and we'd always see each other on like nights out, not mega all the time. And they'd be like, oh yeah, how's Brooks? And I was like, oh yeah, Brooks and Brooks. And then I used to remember all the stories she would say about this company. I was like, do you know what? I said, I'm, being eager and wanting to do stuff. It was nothing about like, Andrews wasn't bad or anything. We had an amazing time. I just kind of nearly felt like it was like the natural progression. And I just basically met there, and I had a chat, met Sally and Jamie, and I didn't think it really clicked.
In terms of the conversation?
Well, no, like the type of how different Brooks and Brooks was. For like, I know like, but like, you know, Sally and Jamie are like drivers from an industry perspective, and like the amount of people that they've sort of been, whether that's a small part or big part or whatever that is, like for many hairdressers, and sort of the heritage of, you know, from Brooks to Sorby's and where does Sorby's come from, and actually seeing it from a way bigger picture and realizing, whoa, the industry. But then as well, like, you know, from like being exposed to something like traveling the world doing hair, really understanding like Fashion Week and session through the people there. Like, so, like when I joined, it was like a melting pot of like so many people that were doing so many different things, and then and then I kind of was like, oh yeah, I want this, you know, I really, really want this, and kind of, you know, did that whole excited running before I could walk thing at Brooks, and then had to retrain and just sort of thing. And then I kind of feel like that's, not that I never in my previous jobs didn't take it seriously, but it was like, oh, I had different hobbies. It's now my hobby's hair.
Right.
I love my job. My job isn't my job. My job's my hobby. So I love, and what better job that I can be so creative and connect with people, make friends, and, you know, like just have so many different experiences. Like, you know, like just thinking of one with you with like Montclair Genius. Like,
oh yeah,
that was I'm like I remember like walking away being like, did that event actually just happen?
Yeah.
Like, as just like, and you're just like, and you know, hair is everything, but you know, hair is a small part of the bigger picture.
Exactly.
But you know, just to think, oh my God, and you walking your way home going, oh, I did that today, or like, oh, I had a great chat with my client today. Oh my God, well, that person, or that didn't work out that day, and you just get this really emotional, creative connection to your job, basically, which I've fallen in love with. So
and that's the kind of conversation that I imagine Sally and Jamie heard you saying, like a version of that story that you just said.
Definitely wasn't like that.
No.
It was definitely not like that.
But the thing is, you're going from, because it's quite interesting, because I suppose at Andrew Barton's, what type of hair were you doing?
Oh,
what was the type of hair?
Oh, it was just like beautiful hair. It was like blow dries.
Blowouts,
it was blowouts. It was
it was like glamorous.
It was
high end.
Yeah, it was high end, but then it wasn't. It was still accessible. It wasn't so high end that you felt like, oh, do you know what I mean? It had an accessibility to it, and I think the beautiful thing about Andrew's salon is that it was designed, actually, fun enough, like how Brooks is now. It was like a little house, felt like a little home. So it felt, even though you're getting this super, like, it is like similar, it has a lot of similarities, like the way with Brooks. It was like you're getting this pro service, and I mean, but the type of clients, they definitely are different. It's different, isn't it?
Yeah.
But with this sort of comfort that comes along with it. But yeah, it was like blowouts, glam, and just beautiful hair. Like maybe I wouldn't be like overly creative, like as in like it wouldn't be like a pink over anything like that. It was more like classic, but just beautifully done, and stuff like that. But I loved that, because actually, even in my training, and the one thing that actually made me stick at hairdressing, which back to when I was an apprentice, even though I fell into it, the one thing that became really, really natural to me was styling hair. So like, even whether it was with a tong or whether it was with straighteners or blow drying, I found it really easy.
Well, I suppose if you go back to your music training, it's very like you're using your hands. Everything is cerebral and the movement. So actually, it makes sense that you would pick up a tool, because it's an extension of your music training.
Yeah, I didn't think of it like that.
But it makes sense. It's like, you know, people that have never had some sort of like a hobby where it's like, I don't know, playing tennis or playing like something like that, where they've got something in their hands. I feel naturally they don't immediately take upon using a tool and being synchronized with their movements.
Yeah.
But I'm imagining like Marlon the musician easily transferring into that thing just purely because of that. But it's really interesting.
I never thought of it like that, but yeah, I agree. That probably makes a lot of sense. But then I loved it because that just kind of worked in my favour in a way at Andrews. You know, when I was starting my column and you had all these amazing colourists, and I think they were like, we're not going to let this guy just start colouring just yet. He needs a little bit more training. Do you know what I mean? I would blow dry all the colours and I loved it. And it's that, for me, finishing hair is probably my favourite thing, where people go, oh my God, what do you like? And I love colour, cut, avant-garde, all that. I love it all, fashion, but the styling, because you can just change the way how something feels. And it's that finish, and you see that smile in the mirror. So I just loved it really at that time. And then ended up at Brooks.
It's so funny because you talk so passionately about that highly polished, very luxurious looks and finishes. But actually, when you look at your work now, there's an edginess, there's a rawness, there's a very like punk undertone in a lot of your work. But then the finesse is this high quality. So I see that you're searching for something else, because you had that high quality moment with Andrews, but then your edginess was bubbling up to the surface. And it seems like with all the collections that you've done over the last 10 years, is all of that personality has come through now. Yeah.
I mean, well, to be honest with you, like, I kind of feel like it's like you're surrounded. So like leaving Andrews and then going to Brooks, like, you know, Brooks definitely changed my taste, like my own personal taste level.
Oh, really?
Do you think my own personal taste level, I was a bit like, yeah, maybe I need to, do you know what I mean? I probably didn't have the best taste, but yeah, you know.
But again, you said you're the product of your own environment. Yeah. If you're only seeing glamorous blowouts every day, then you think that that's the only thing, and it's great. That's
the only thing. But then, you know, like I definitely got like really exposed to a lot with Brooks and Brooks, and I think you know. Yeah, I just explored loads of different things, really. But
it's funny because it's a similar thing to me. Like I trained in my mom's salon and other, like, you know, old school salons, and it's like shampoo set, perms, perfect little roller blowouts, and all the rest of it. And actually, my mom gave me like the Heads by Guido book, and I went through it, and I was like, shit, this is where it's at.
Yeah.
And then through that discovered that, oh, okay, there's like eras of hair that have happened, not just old ladies.
Yeah, I know. That's what I mean.
And then you taste immediately, you think you taste changes, but really you're searching for that thing that you knew that you always wanted, but you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
And then maybe it's a similar story as to you, that as soon as you store it, as soon as you see it, it lights that fire underneath you, and you're like, okay, I want to do something cool like that.
Yeah, 100%. And you want to start exploring yourself as a creative, and you know, I have a love-hate relationship with social media, but what I quite like about my Instagram is like you kind of can scroll down and go, this is what it's like, time prints on like where you were out, or like looking back going, I was doing that. It was like, I need to change it up a bit, or do you know what I want to do? But in a weird way, I quite like it for that. And as well, like, just having that progression, basically.
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that, because I was going through your social media and looking at all of the work that you do, and you are right. There's like little stamps of time where obviously you've been inspired by something, or you have a certain emotion at that time, and it's come forward. Now, I've texted you a few pictures of your work that I'd love to go through. Now, I think it's now knowing you for such a long time, and you're not the quiet one at all. You're like cheeky, outgoing, and actually, like when I look at your work, there's a lot of like cheekiness that goes into it. Like your color placements they're like quite cheeky the way that you do it. Like there's one in particular, if you skip through this one here. So we'll put it on the screen for people to be able to see, but you've placed bleach around the edge and the front of the ear that no one would ever see, apart from this cheeky moment where you tuck it and pull the front forward. I mean, there's you have to be brave and have almost like a little bit of sense of humor to place it there, because it's.
I mean, yeah, I definitely think, I definitely think there's this element where I think when you're doing creative colour that you have to be brave of it. Mm-hmm. You have to be brave of it. But as well, it's like, where do you get the inspiration from and stuff like that? And, I think it's really important having conversation or meeting people. And, the person at the Son is Lily, who's a model that I met. She's at CSM, and we're now like friends now. Mm-hmm. But like just listening, I think I'm pretty sure she turned around and said, I want my hair to feel like it's been burnt by a cigarette. And then I was like, okay, bear 1 second with me. And we started like mapping out this, mapping out that. And then just kind of like, I guess when somebody says the sentence like that, and then if you want to be brave, you're like, now's the time to do it. Now's the time to do it. And then really taking back, and, I kind of think, I don't know if this is what you're asking me, but like, like you're saying about the cheekiness, tucking behind the ear and stuff like that. I think it's like, sometimes it's like, I don't know, as creatives, or people go, or sometimes I do it and I go, look, Marlon, but what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And it's like, hold on a minute, just sit down, look at the person in front of you, look at their hair, ask them, how do you tuck it behind your ear? Do you not tuck it behind your ear? What haircut do they have? What's that? What's the density of their hair? And as you just start doing that, your skills start coming into play, and you start mapping out and visualizing. And, with the saying from Lily and that, I guess we ended up with these cheeky bleach ear tucks.
It's so good. It's so good. And that reference, that sentence is amazing, because now that you've said it, I totally see it.
What, the cigarette?
It's it's been dotted in areas. It's brilliant. There's and also the way that you've combed the small hairs forward, to break, like, perfect. That's exactly like.
Thank you.
I wish I did that.
Oh my God, that is a compliment. I guess though, it's all them small things. I mean, like, definitely a massive thing that I've learned at Brooks, which has refined me as a hairdresser, is like attention to detail. And I think, people go, oh my God, the baby hairs are there, or like,
cut them off,
or slick them back up. And it was just like, well, if it grows in that way, put a bit of product in, it will look cool.
Absolutely.
And it just, I guess it's so weird. And now I completely forgot I'd done that until you said it, and I looked down at it and went, oh yeah, I did do that.
But that again takes confidence to do, and to be able to see form and shape like that. It takes a high level of finesse to comb it in the right direction to match the shape of the bang. I've been in America for too long.
Yeah.
Shape the match of the bang, for God's sake.
Fringe.
Fringe. Excuse me. But it does take a lot of confidence and a lot of finesse. And yeah, I just love this.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I do wish that I did it. No, there's another one. We'll come to that one. So this one that you'll see up on the screen now, I saw this a while ago and I was like, how the fuck did you do it? I originally thought that you'd projected this onto the wig, like it was a projection, because it's so perfect, and I just watched like this really bizarre film. It's called like Holy Mountain, like by this Argentinian director, very obscure and abstract. And then I landed on your page and I was like, am I dreaming? Like, is this like connected? Because it's so beautiful and it's so considered the way that it's placed. We're just interested in where you came to this end result.
So this sits with this one, basically, as in like with a story, as in with what the colours were, and it was like really playing around with sort of colour in an avant-garde way, and sort of thinking layering, stenciling, placement, sometimes with colour it's limitless. Like I've always wanted to do it, to try and figure out how to do it. But even like with the stencil stuff, with like the lines, it's like if you created a grid, you could nearly look like you've punched through a one length. Do you know what I mean? Because it looks like it bends in, but actually it's straight, because looking at it as hair as a fabric and colour is, or it's like a blank canvas is like your piece of paper, and what you draw, you can make a 3D box. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so then it's like kind of like looking at it from that perspective. But yeah, had a lot of fun.
You make it sound so simple. But I think what's really interesting about your work is that you have like these tough elements, like the previous image, you've got like the hard line of the fringe.
Yeah.
But then the way that you place the colors is it's tough, but it's soft and it's playful. And then with this image that we were looking at with the square shapes, it's tough, but your color choice makes it so soft, and it almost like it melts in together, even though there are lines everywhere. It almost feels like it's melted together, and it's always been
it's like there. Putting the beauty back in,
right?
Yeah.
So like, yeah, your choices of color, I think, is what takes it to that next place. It's like you never choose colors that are like, if they clash, they clash in the best way. And they always seem like symbiotic with what you've done. So it's almost it's so considered the way that you do things. And I'm always so jealous when you release things, because I'm like, shit.
Shut up. No, oh my God.
No, it's true. It's true. But because there's just an element of you're not just throwing things together. Like, it's so considered, just like this other image that you brought up, which is the faux bob.
Yeah.
I mean, genius.
I mean, to be honest with you, I've been inspired by, I've seen different variations of this. It's not like I was the one that created it, but I kind of wanted to nearly do my version of it.
That's the thing.
And I think it was for me as well. It's that mix. I mean, it was. With this, actually, it was something about wanting to do something again, going back to that like more braver approach. It's like, when are you ever, I met a person again, I met this model, you can do whatever you want, and just going, let's do it then. Let's actually go for it. And actually taking it in, refining, nearly. It's not just about colour, thinking, where would I want the cut to sit?
Well, this is
what I mean? Like, where is it sitting on her face? It was all huge, really big things. And then from a technical perspective, like layering the line properly. Do you want an A line? Do you want it squared? Or do you want a soft line? Or like, what is it? And
no, I think it's interesting the way that you say that, because when I look at that, yeah, you're right. The idea is it's been around. But just the way that you chose to do it, how far down the back of the head you chose to go, where it just touches the corner of the lip.
Yeah, like it's
perfection.
It's like you just like, I don't feel shame in that. Like some people go, oh my God, like we are, there has been such a heritage of incredible hairdressers that have done so much. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes it's the hardest thing to create something brand new.
There almost isn't.
I would love
new.
To do that all the time if I could. I would love that, because not to be like Marlon did it, because it would feed my creative soul of, wow, something brand new. Do you know what I mean? But the reality is that sometimes it's nice to kind of get inspiration, but go, hold on a minute, how would Marlon do it? So, like when I think about if you were going to do it, it would be completely different, but so cool. Do you know what I mean? If other colorists out there would do it, it would be completely different. Do you know what I mean? But still good. But
I think that's how you find new things as well, is that you acknowledge the past, you acknowledge the greats, and you put that modern twist on it. And for me, that's what I do with my work all the time. I've never done anything new. It's always take something old and put your personality into it, and it will always feel new.
Yeah, well, I agree. So
amazing. I'm glad we agree. have a little skip through as well. Yeah, and also, yeah, I think let's skip to the collections, which I think would be a really cool thing to go over, because you've put together so many collections. I mean, how many collections have you done now?
Do you know what? There's been, there's definitely, I feel like there's not been maybe a lot that's been shown out there, but there's been a lot that's happened in the background that probably won't see the face of day.
Oh my God.
You know, you're like, I mean, I should probably go over that, but no, but
the thing is, you put these collections together, and no matter who sees it, was the one collection in particular that you're super proud of, regardless of whether they saw it or whether they didn't?
Do you know what? It's really, I'll be honest, it goes back to like, it's that really, really hard, as in like my work personally, or like collections I see out there.
Your collection
so, like,
that you've created.
I mean, like it's hard. Like they all have different meanings and different stuff. Like when I had done the mannequin collection, which, you know, coming from Brooks, yourself, I remember working at you, and when I first come, it was like everyone was like, oh my God, creative head, the visionary, and it was like that. I think like Brooks had been on like a 5-winning streak or something, and I was the one that broke it. I was like, no. 7 years later, finally. Do you know what I mean? But you know, that for me was a moment in time, which was in lockdown and just wanting to be inspired. And it was really organic, and was just because I was like, what have I got in my box under my bed, and what am I going to create? Because I wanted to feed my creativity. It goes back to that thing again, like, if that wasn't my hobby, why would I have even got images like that? It wasn't to show off, it's because I want to do it. Do you know what I mean? I want to spend my time doing that.
It was an itch that needed to be scratched.
Yeah, exactly. So, for instance, that has like a special moment because it's kind of like this, you're in a room, everything's in lockdown, you like, you know it, you can't mimic anything. Like you can't go, oh, I like that, I'm going to do that, or a certain version of it. It's just like, what have I got in my box and what am I going to create? So I have a love for that, you know. And but then obviously my latest collection, I love. I personally, you know, it's like I keep falling in love on. It took, you know, a whole team to do that. It was done in a day. It was doubles. There was 10 models. We got 9 images. And, you know, you have to lean on your team and have people around you, you know, that you trust to be like, you're on getting the shots, you know, it's hard. I think people don't actually talk about how difficult doing a shoot is. It is so much prep, and God, I've had, you know, even with the latest one, you know, I could have definitely prepped better. I could have definitely prepped more. You know, you kind of like striving to not only just create something that you're proud of, that you're like, oh my God, wow, but then at the same time, you actually enjoy the day and it's not stressful. Do you know what I mean? So I'm still working that one out. I think I'll always ever be like, oh. But
I think that's so human, because it's like I've never turned up to a job where I knew what I was doing. Totally, 100%.
God, that makes me feel so much better.
Well, I mean, and also, you want to leave some stuff to chance, don't you?
Yeah. Like create the magic.
Yeah, because if you over prepare, then it's like you can tell when someone's overdone it. Yeah. And you don't have those magic moments where you kind of want to turn up and be like, oh, that model doesn't look like her card. Let's figure out something else.
A new personality, an identity. Who is this person?
Exactly.
What is the image going to be? So.
Yeah, exactly. And also, it's funny that you mention how difficult it is, because most salons that enter awards is expensive. The salons are paying for it. Yeah. And you have to do it in one day, which isn't 6 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night.
No, it is like
9
till 5.
Yeah.
You have to get that in, you know, and stuff like that. So it's, you know, I kind of feel like it's hard for me to answer and be like, oh my God, I've got a favorite collection. I'm really, really into my latest one at the minute. So that's taking a spotlight. But even looking back on when I entered newcomer for the BHA, it was my first time, and I finalized. I went, oh my God. And, you know, and I look at the hair and I'm a bit like, do you know what? Some of them are still good, but others I was a bit like, oh, but that was my point in that. That was my point in where I was at. And it was actually really sweet, actually, because Sally, I remember, I didn't win, and I guess my mindset may have not been not in the right place. And like, it's always about winning, but sometimes like you're in the competition and you're like, oh, it's competition. But actually Sally was like, winning doesn't sometimes mean winning. Sometimes winning is just, I forgot what it was, but it's basically like, winning doesn't always mean winning. Winning can sometimes being better than what you've done before. And then suddenly it's like, I kind of like always have that in the back of my head a little bit sometimes, because I'm a bit like, sometimes, don't on anything, not about competitions, just still about shoots, but it's just like, kind of give yourself a break. Like, do you know what I mean? But I think maybe that's me. I'm the type of person, I'm really hard on myself. So it's like, and that's like a driving power for me, because it's like, no, better, it needs to be better, it needs to be better. What direction is the industry going in? Like, what are people doing, and why are they doing it, and what's the outcome? What's their message? It feeds a bit of a.
Well, I suppose that's the creative person, the insecurity, no?
Yeah.
Like, we're all insecure.
Yeah.
And it's you're trying to find your voice.
Yeah.
And putting yourself out there for a competition and putting a collection out is almost like putting a part of your soul out.
Oh my God,
there.
100%. It's like the most, it's like, I absolutely dread it. Like, obviously, if I'm doing something where I'm like, please, is there any budget in the part? I'd really, really love to shoot. Obviously, you kind of like, not selling it, but you've kind of got to go, hey, Sally and Jamie, I've had this idea. Do you like it as well? And then you've nearly got to do it to the photographer. Do you want to do this?
Then you become the traveling salesman.
And then you turn down like this traveling salesman. But then at the same time, because like you have that creative insecurity, you nearly feel embarrassed whilst explaining your ideas, because you're kind of like,
you're like, trust me, this reference, but not that. Yeah. But it's a good idea. But trust me.
Yeah, but trust me. I know that the mood board does not match. Nothing on it matches. I really need to work on that. And then they'll be like, is it that you just like, the composition of the way out there said no, but like I think it, anyway, gone on that, but you get what I mean.
But it's so true. And I think most people, they think that all these people that win awards all the time, that they're bulletproof, that like, they come in with these great ideas and they've got all this money behind them and all the rest of it, but we're all in the same boat. And it's just managing to put it together. And then being comfortable enough to just, it is what it is. That's a collection I've made. I'm proud of it.
Proud of that.
And just let it go out into the ether.
Let it go out. Be like that. And I think the number one thing that I've really learned over the years is making sure you're cool with it first. Because when you're cool with it, I've got a very small group of people that I would say like I care about like their opinion. I'm like, like what do you think, or something like that. But other than that, if I cared about everybody's opinion, God, I wouldn't be doing.
You wouldn't leave the house.
I wouldn't leave the house. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't do the work that I do. I wouldn't do it. You kind of got to go, no, actually, I'm cool with that. I love that. And do you know what? With my close-knit people that are, wanting to have like a creative soundboard to see like an opinion, you ask and you see or you say or you get. But other than that, you just sort of like crack on with it, get it out there. And drop it, learn from it if you've had difficulty in certain parts of it, and just kind of like take it onto the next step. But actually, funny enough, I don't know if you know this, but my first ever collection was shot by Taku.
Really?
Yeah. So Taku, I was like, I really want to envision it. He went, you're going to do this. I believe in you with this. He was like, right, come on then. He went, come to my house. He was like, I'm going to shoot it. And
it's like, okay, you're in the public. You're just going to get killed by the public. And they either like it or they don't. And then everybody talks about it. And there's no one to like confide with. So I do miss that as part of the salon. And
I mean, it definitely has like community. I mean, like, I know like people say, then they go freelance or, they can still get the community, but I kind of guess like you do, but you can, or sometimes you can't, but it depends on if it's solid in a salon. It's there every day. It's the family. You go to it. We spend so much time together. Do you know what I mean? You've got it, and you're all on the same page, and you do get that. I assume most frequently. I don't know. I've never been freelance.
But yeah, that's just kind of like how it's felt like the past few years, and it's all good. It's just an interesting comparison to like how you feel about when you put work out there. It's like, click, shit, here we go. You know.
But I don't know. Like you know, I'm going to go back to say it. Like I just feel like if I'm cool with it, then I really, really don't care. Like it's like I care, but it's not. I don't care for the faff of it, or like I care because I did it, and then now it's just like I just want to. I'm looking at it as I just sharing it, but like.
Because it's all for you at the end of the day.
Yeah, like otherwise it becomes like toxic. Do you know what I mean?
So true.
It becomes so toxic and just going, and then as well, you know, I think it's really healthy, and I think it's just about putting your mind in a really good place, like when you're putting work out there and stuff like that. You know, it's like making sure it's good for yourself, and then you know, let's say for instance you see somebody's work, where you say like I have it all the time. Like it's funny you say that about the bleach tucks, but like it's the same way. Like I remember with like your work. And you go, oh God, I wish I did that. Or like, oh God, how come I didn't do this? Or you see somebody else's stuff and you go, oh my God, I'm gonna like, oh, but you kind of like, actually, in a weird way, I think that's healthy because it makes you go, oh, well, then if you do want to do more of that, then why don't you explore it? Or why don't you think a bit differently? Or why don't you do this? Or it's never a, oh God, I wish I did that. Oh, I'm not good enough. It's a, oh God, that's cool. And like actually, diverting how sometimes obviously social can make you feel and remembering that it is a community. Do you know what I mean again?
Absolutely.
And it's just sharing it and that's you and that's your story and you have to be comfortable with that.
Yeah, I suppose it's seeing your peers as your inspiration instead of like your competition.
Yeah, exactly. It's really weird. I mean, like, even when you speak about peers or like, you know, when you see all the big names, right? And it would always be like, oh my God, I want to get up there. I want to see everybody. I want to blah, 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 blah. Oh my God, out there. And actually it's like, yes, it is amazing, but actually it's more like, I'm more interested in people that in the same generation of hairdressing that I'm in, because maybe, who knows, depending on everyone's paths, it's like naturally as you just like get older and you get more experience and you get stuff like that, that you end up becoming that. Otherwise you end up being in a group that you don't really know, really. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It becomes that. Do you get what I mean?
Exactly.
I don't know if I've explained myself properly.
No.
I love it. Of course, I want to be able to meet them and have a chat with them and be like, how are you? Still have that community thing. But then as well, being kind of like looking to the people in your generation going, do you know? Yeah.
Yeah. You want
I'm going to stop rambling on because I'm not going to explain it any better. Oh my God.
No, I understand it. Like you want to feel part of a community, not see these people on a pedestal that are unreachable.
Yeah.
Like you're actually like part of a group.
Yeah, part of.
Yeah. And no, that is perfectly said. We'll all understand it.
God.
With that being said, like what?
He's going to have to cut so much out of this. You're like, he is talking way too much. Oh my goodness.
No, it's all super valuable stuff that you're sharing, and it's and everybody just wants to see that behind all of this work is a human being, you know.
Yeah, it's me. But
with that all being said, like what's next for you? Like what's on the horizon?
So I don't know. There's a lot going on. As in a busy. Being at Brooks and like being like a creative director there is it's like a job basically. So it's like feeding that, really getting stuck in there, and then as well like other stuff like the L'Oreal that I'm really grateful I get to do quite a bit of travel with them now, and there's still stuff, but I think like what's next, it's kind of like I've got a couple of ideas. I'm working on some stuff, and there's a couple of ideas I've got. I would like to shoot, but I think you have to think logistics sometimes, which I'm really excited about, and as well, I mean like. There may be a couple of opportunities to do a bit of a hair show and stuff like that. So I'm kind of I kind of think, you know, I know we're like halfway through February now, but like we're still at the beginning of the year. Sometimes it's quite nice to really feed your creativity and go, right, I'm going to achieve that this year. Or, oh my God, I've had an idea. How am I going to pull this off? Or, oh, how would I like to do that? So kind of like in this discovery phase, I'd probably say I'd be at a minute. But yeah, there's stuff going on, and I've got, you know, I've got stuff going that I'm lucky enough that I've got booked in and travel and stuff. But I guess it's hard because you don't want to like completely separate it, but it's like, you know, the stuff that you're like, oh, I'm going to get into. Yeah. It's kind of like in that discovery part.
Amazing. Well, we're all so excited to see what you have coming up, and this discovery phase and what's going to come out the other end of it. Yeah. And obviously everybody can see you traveling around and doing your education and all of the stuff that you do for Brooks and Brooks. And yeah, we just can't see what Marlon has in store for us for 2025.
Oh my goodness. If you know, I'd like to know, because I don't know what I know yet. But no, I do. But it'll be good. It'll be fun.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much for sitting down to talk with me today.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jonathan.
Thank you. Perfect. That's a nice way to end it.
Yeah.
Well done.
Sweet.